Traditions add a little more meaning to the things we love. They help us remember the past and give us something to look forward to in the future. Every year, my wife and I retire our wedding rings and make new ones. This year is the 10th anniversary of me quitting my job and going all in on YouTube, the 10th anniversary of getting my first book deal, 10 years of podcasting with Jimmy DiResta and Bob Clagett, and 10 years of being married and making new rings each anniversary. This one is extra special and brought to us by Squarespace. Every year, I try to do something a little different with the rings. The longer we're married, the harder this is going to get. It's also hard to make a video every single year and keep it interesting, which is why I didn't make a video last year, and I wasn't going to make a video this year just to reduce that pressure, but here we are. So I'm starting off with some stainless steel that I got from McMaster Carr. The inside diameter is fairly close to our ring size, and the outside diameter makes it thick enough for me to do some shaping. I consider myself a woodworker and an artist. I don't consider myself a ring maker or a machinist. I really don't know what I'm doing, but I think I'm being safe and this is fun, and that's all that matters to me. I don't have my feeds and speeds down yet, but I'm learning. When I get it right, it feels and sounds different and is super satisfying. Basically, all I'm doing is squaring up the ends after cutting it down to size on the bandsaw, shaping the inside diameter to match our ring sizes, chamfering the outside, cutting a channel for some wood inlay that we're going to do later, and then cutting it off. I would go into a lot more detail if I knew what I was doing, but I don't. So I'm going to leave it up to you to tell me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. Maybe we can all learn something in the comments. And just to prove to you that I don't know what I'm doing, I'm using the wrong tool here to measure the inside diameter, and my DRO is busted because I backed it into the tailstock. So I can't even do things precisely because I don't know what I'm doing. And after about 15 minutes, the first ring is done. Luckily, Kelly and I are the same ring size, so it's just rinse and repeat. The song that I'm using here is one that I use way too much in my videos, but it's a song that I wrote and recorded called Pair of Rings. The reason it's called Pair of Rings is because the first time I ever used it was in one of these ring making videos. Also, I added some extra smoke just to emphasize the fact that I don't know what I'm doing, and maybe to get under the skin of real machinists. Sorry about that. You can unsubscribe. Allow me to give you a little backstory on how we got here. I used to be a web developer for a local ad agency, and at that time, I was in a two-piece electro rock band called Sinker. Apparently, we were good enough for a local club to ask us to play a New Year's Eve show. Kelly's band was also asked to play the show. She was a drummer in a Velvet Underground cover band, which should tell you how cool this girl is. This night in 2008 is when I met Kelly for the first time, and I have video footage of this because I was one of those weird guys who recorded everything. This was before vlogging was a thing and before the iPhone had a video camera. My band Sinker and Kelly's band The Falling Spikes were opening up for a band called Grand Buffet at a sold-out New Year's Eve show. Now fast forward 6 years to 2014. Kelly and I are living together with her 2 cats and my wiener dog Weens. We weren't big on the whole marriage thing. We both thought it was outdated. We agreed to never get married, but 2 major things happened. I landed my first book deal with a legit publisher, and I got my first YouTube sponsorship. At this point, my passion for web development had faded, and making woodworking videos started to consume all of my creative energy. Kelly saw this shift and suggested something crazy: quit my cushy ad agency job and pursue YouTube full time. That's not even something I would have considered on my own. I had worked very hard to get where I was, but Kelly believed in me and gave me the push I needed, even though the idea of giving all that up seemed totally bonkers. There was one catch though. In America, when you quit your job, you lose your health insurance. The only way for me to get on Kelly's health insurance was to get married. So we did, but on our own terms. We rented a cabin far away from everyone and everything. We didn't invite friends or family, just Jim and Heather who officiated the ceremony. There was no schedule and no agenda. The only plan was to hang out, sip whiskey by the fire, and when the moment felt right, we would say our vows. And that's exactly what we did. It was simple, meaningful, and perfect, just the way we wanted it. Getting back to the rings, I cut up some tiny pieces of zebra wood to fit into the steel ring channel. I tried to leave a little gap in between the pieces to fill with CA glue and aluminum shavings. Apparently, aluminum is the traditional anniversary metal for 10 years. In my experience with epoxy, aluminum shavings would be suspended in the mixture, but that's not the case with CA glue. They just sink right to the bottom and can't be seen. That's okay. I know they're there, and that's all that matters. Moving over to the wood lathe, the rings get shaved down to size and polished with CA glue. Finishing with CA glue is an old wood turner's trick, and when done right, leaves a high gloss and protective finish. In the 10-year history of making these anniversary rings, I accomplished a major feat for the first time ever. I'll share that story and the final shots of these rings in just a moment. But first, I want to introduce to you Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that's so much more than just website building. Squarespace now makes it incredibly easy to manage payments and invoicing, all from one place. Whether you're selling products or services, you can handle everything from accepting payments via Apple Pay, Afterpay, and ClearPay to invoicing clients seamlessly. And if you ever thought about turning your expertise into a course, Squarespace now has the tools to help you create and sell your own online courses. With customizable layouts, you can upload your videos, build engaging lessons, and even set up subscriptions or one-time fees. It's never been simpler to grow your business and connect with your audience. I've been using Squarespace for over 10 years, and I can honestly say it keeps getting better. They take care of the technical stuff so you can focus on your ideas and creativity. Visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/makesomething for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Now let's get back to these rings. The very first pair of rings for our wedding day were made on time. And for various reasons, the next 9 pairs were all made after our anniversary date. Every year, I have the intention of getting them done on time, but something comes up. This year, for our 10-year wedding anniversary, we took a trip to Austin, Texas for some fine dining and the F1 race. Our very first night in Austin was the official date, and for the first time ever, I surprised Kelly with our new rings on time. I think they came out great. In years past, I would have the grain wrapping around the ring, but this time I wanted to try something different and have the grain run the opposite way. We had an amazing time in Austin and went to all the fancy restaurants, took in the Bat Boat tour, and cooked in the hot sun while Kelly's favorite F1 team took the top 2 spots. We're both huge F1 fanatics and have a great little family tradition of watching the race together every Sunday. Traditions help you remember the past and give you something to look forward to in the future. I read every single comment, good and bad. I'm curious to know what traditions you have. As I mentioned earlier, I have written 3 different woodworking books. I'll have links to these down below. And if you saw this wooden toolbox, I've got a video on making this guy right here. As always, be safe, have fun, stay passionate, and make something. This is the next video. I found this old suitcase and we're gonna turn it into